So welcome, everyone, to this KZOOM. And this is actually the 8th week that we've been gathering. So I think of this practice that we're doing as a practice of generosity, as a practice of service. So it's really important that the mode that you're in as you come to this session is one where you're opening up this channel so that we can support one another in these difficult times. And I also know that many of you are supporting many other people. So when we do this practice for each other, that the energy of that practice is really going out to all those that we are supporting. So I always like to take a moment to look around the room, to the Zoom room, to tune in, and maybe
all these juicy faces.
You've seen some of these people. Maybe you don't know some of these people, but maybe you've seen them before in weeks past, and maybe over time you'll get to know people that you through their souls, really, through the presence of what they're giving in this energy field that we're creating. So what you give is really important. And the other very important aspect of practice is coming with a certain vulnerability of knowing that, oh, I need this. And being able to find that place inside you that does need it. And to also get a little bit clear about what you need. And what I do as I'm kind of crafting, what practices we're going to be doing each week, is I'm trying to tune into, well, what do I need, and maybe what I need also. Thank you. Will be helpful to others as well. But I want to put that question really on the altar right now. Because I know, for me, there's been some difficult moments during the week where things are changing so fast and expectations are falling away. And I'm stepping into this place that I call intimacy with uncertainty. And so I'm feeling that there's a certain need for to be stabilized again, to be connected, to be connected to my resources, to find my humility in the face of all of this change. So I would like you to just take a moment, find inside you, just ask the question inside your heart, what do I need? What do I need? What quality? What do you need? And to write it in the chat so we can just sort of be open with each other, what's there.
To witness each other's needs. We can all be a part of this energy field to help us meet those needs.
Yeah.
To really be anchored and grounded in our bodies. Breathing freely so that we can be of best service to open up the channel.
Yeah, so just take a look.
Clarity. Human contact. serenity, tenderness, clarity, accepting, calm, healing, less anxiety, reassurance.
All of this is on our altar here as we begin to practice. So all those needs that are spoken and unspoken, and maybe ones you don't even know that you have, we lay ourselves open and open to each other. The first practice that I chose is from a part of our prayer service that is called Tachanun, and I also call this the medicine for overwhelm. And there have been moments in this past week where I just moments of overwhelm. You know, it's like, actually life is pretty good, but there are moments when I get overwhelmed. And the thing about being overwhelmed is like that's when you need to practice. And sometimes it's actually hard to find the practice because you're overwhelmed in that moment. And when I first, so the part of the service that's called Tachanun, and it begins, actually, there's different forms of Tachanun, which just, the word Tachanun means supplication or asking for grace. And it's traditional, like to actually prostrate, you know, another name for this practice is Nifilat Apayim, which is falling on your face. And it means being completely humble, really just like letting ourselves connect with the earth, connect with the presence of God beneath us, supporting us. And the prayer on Mondays and Thursdays, you know, is a little bit different, and it starts with these words, Vehu Rachum, Vehu Rachum. And it is, these words, Vehu Rachum, I think are creating this kind of a container for our practice. And it's saying, Vehu Rachum, you know, it is this great field of compassion that is holding us all. It is compassionate. The whole universe is compassionate. And within that, we have all kinds of tzuras. But we want to lean into that compassionate kind of container. And Rachmiel's name comes from this word, Rachum. And it also means the womb. And so it's almost as if we are being birthed through this womb of this moment. You know, we are each of us being birthed into this moment. So Vehu Rachum, and then these words, you know, that acknowledges that our soul is trembling at this time. There's so much, you know, suffering that goes on in the world and in us, and sometimes there are moments we are overwhelmed by sadness. Just even sometimes just reading an article in you know, the New York Times, I can feel myself overwhelmed by sadness. And then we call out to that compassionate one. Don't forget us, you know, and don't forget us. And then we say, arise and save us. And so I don't believe that there's any God out there that's going to come and save me. But I feel like there is a God sense within me that if I call on that is what saves me. It's for this place that is the best in me, the place that is so connected. I say to that place, that God sense within me, arise and save us, for we take shelter in you. And I think it's really this word about taking shelter. We're all sheltering now, right? But what would it mean to shelter in the compassionate one? To shelter in a sense of being held by the compassionate one. So, and then I keep coming back to reminding myself of that place of compassion that I want to dwell in. So I wanted to use this tachanun. And I had this idea, if we felt like at the end of the tachanun, if you felt like prostrate, if you felt like prostrating yourself, just taking a moment and bowing down to the earth and taking all the energy that we create and sending it into the earth to do that. We'll take just a moment, a minute to do that at the end of the practice. Ve'hurachum, 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 Nihala nafshenu merov itzvonenu Nihala nafshenu merov itzvonenu Al tishkachenu netzach Al tishkachenu netzach Kuma Moshienu Ki chasinu vav Kuma Moshienu Ki chasinu vav Ve'hurachum 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 Our soul trembles, overwhelmed by sadness. Our soul trembles, overwhelmed by sadness. Do not forget us. Do not forget us. Arise and save us, for we take shelter in you. We take shelter in you. Arise and save us, for we take shelter in you. We take shelter in you. Ve'hurachum, 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 Nihala nafshenu merov itzvonenu Nihala nafshenu merov itzvonenu Al tishkachenu netzach Al tishkachenu netzach Kuma Moshienu Ki chasinu vav Kuma Moshienu Ki chasinu vav Ve'hurachum Ve'hurachum
souls tremble, overwhelmed by sadness. Our soul trembles, overwhelmed by sadness. Do not forget us. Do not forget us. Arise and save us, for we take shelter in you. We take shelter in you. Arise and save us, for we take shelter in you. We take shelter in you. Ve'hu rachum, 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 ve'hu rachum.
Take a breath into the heart. And if you feel like, just take a moment to
Prostrate.
take all of that energy and send it into the earth. Feel yourself supported. So we live in this place that uncertainty, which can be a joy. It can be a joy when we can be open to surprise of life in each moment, not being what we expected it to be. There are gifts there if we can let go. I was talking with Lina yesterday, and she said, "Oh yeah, I live in that place of uncertainty, and now the whole world is joining me there." And so it was a kind of a delight to her to realize that. But that place of uncertainty really takes a lot of kind of stability and faith and groundedness and hope. It really calls us to our practice. So I wanted to do this practice of trusting, another practice of trusting in God, reality, the big picture, the wider perspective, the unfolding of grace. And Psalm 23 is one that begins with that God is our shepherd, guiding us, and then it takes us into these deep, dark places. Though I walk through the valley of the deepest, darkest places of death, I will not fear, because you're with me. And having that sense of presence with us is what allows us to walk through those dark, deep, scary places, and to come out to the place that is called the God house. And it's, the last line of the psalm says, I Shavti Beveit Adonai, I will dwell in God's house. I will dwell in this place of connection, no matter what's going on. And I'm gonna rest there. And I add these words, I place myself in your care, meaning I don't know what's gonna happen. I can't control things. When I try to, it's just ridiculous. And so I'm just going to place myself in your care, God. I'm going to allow this all to unfold. And so I wanted to do this practice of trust. And it has a kind of a joy to it and a kind of a relief, because I'm not going to be able to figure this out, and and I have a tendency to want to try to figure everything out and know what's going to happen next, and I give up, and I'm going to place myself in your care, and then open up to guidance in each moment. Shakti Beveta Donai, Shakti Beveta Donai, Shakti Beveta Donai, I place myself in your care. Yai rai rai la da dai, yai rai rai, yai la da dai dai, yai la da dai, yai dai dai dai. Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai, I place myself in your care. Hai rai hai la da dai, hai rai rai hai la da dai dai, hai la da dai, hai rai dai dai. Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai, I place myself in your care. Yai rai yai la da dai, yai rai rai yai la da dai dai, yai la da dai, yai dai dai dai. Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai, I place myself in your care. Hai rai hai la da dai, hai rai rai hai la da dai dai, hai la da dai, hai dai dai dai. Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai, I place myself in your care. Hai rai hai la da dai, hai rai rai hai la da dai dai, hai la da dai, hai dai dai dai. Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai, I place myself in your care. Hai rai hai la da dai, hai dai dai, hai la da dai dai, hai la da dai, hai dai dai dai. Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai, I place myself in your care. Yai rai yai la da da, hai rai rai yai la da dai dai, yai la da dai, yai dai dai dai. Is there a dance to this?
Could be.
Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai, Shakti Viveta Donai,
I place myself in your care. Yai lai yai lai 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 yai lai lai yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai lai. Shakti Bhaveta Adonai. Shakti Bhaveta Adonai. Shakti Bhaveta Adonai. I place myself in your care. Hai dai hai dai 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 hai dai dai hai dai dai dai. Yai da da da, yai da da da. Shakti Bhaveta Adonai. Shakti Bhaveta Adonai. Shakti Bhaveta Adonai. I place myself in your care. Hai dai hai la da dai hai dai dai hai la da dai dai hai la da dai hai dai dai dai. Shakti Bhaveta Adonai. Shakti Bhaveta Adonai. Shakti Bhaveta Adonai. I place myself in your care. Yai dai yai la da dai 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 yai la da dai dai yai la da dai yai dai dai. Take a breath into the heart, and as you release it, let go of that illusion of control. You feel yourself held. And the more that we can feel held, the more that we can relax. The more that we relax, the more that we open. And the more that we open, the more that the blessing can flow into us. The blessing of this moment. Let's take a moment just to look around the Zoom room again to see our faces. Some people we know, some people we are getting to know through our practice together. Some people don't have faces. They would be juicy
names,
if we could see them.
Names.
They do have names.
So I want to be inspired by the juicy faces. So this new practice that I want to share with you, that I'm calling Trust in You. The way that it came to me was that
I was looking on our Albuquerque website, and there was a contest of art as antibodies. And a young boy, Jesse Sanchez, drew a picture, and he put Psalm 56 in the frame. So I asked Jeff, "Oh, Psalm 56."
So I looked at the psalm. I looked at the verse, and it spoke to me so directly, and it was actually a psalm that I had kind of ignored, and I didn't really like it, but now it's actually totally relevant to me right now. And it says, Yomira, which means at this very moment, this day, when I get afraid, Ani elacha eftach. At that very moment, that's when I will put my trust in you, put my trust in this larger being that we are. And the trick is, what I notice is that sometimes I don't even know that I'm afraid, because fear wears certain disguises. And so then my fear might be disguised as numbness or irritability or anger or you name it. There's just different, or just tension in my body that I don't even know that I'm holding.
Yeah.
And so when I can let go of that fear and put my trust in grace unfolding, then that tension leaves my body, I open up, and then I can actually have some clarity of seeing what this moment might have for me, what blessing is here for me that I couldn't see when my mind was clouded with fear. So it's been a potent practice in this last week or so.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, just to ask you just to look into your own heart to see any places that you might be holding the tension. Sometimes it's yours, and sometimes it belongs to the world out there, and you've just absorbed it. And so, but it doesn't serve you to carry it in your heart. And I just want to also say that what was amazing is that we were called by the Presbyterian minister in Hamish Springs,
It's a good friend of ours,
David Whiteley, to come and record this chant for the Sunday service.
with the choir.
Yeah.
We recorded this Wednesday.
The distance choir.
Yeah, with space.
And we recorded this, so not this Sunday, but next Sunday, the Presbyterians will be chanting this with us. Yo mira, yo mira, yo mira, yo mira. I just want to interrupt us for one moment and say that sometimes as I'm chanting, gestures come to me. I don't know if you can see this, but that certain, and it almost feels like those gestures start to magnify the meaning of the chant. So when I say yo mira, I'm just kind of like tracing the kind of tumult in my heart as I'm doing this. Yo mira, yo mira. And then when what came to me was Ani elecha eftach, Ani elecha, and then eftach, and the last gesture being a kind of settling in, grounding, of taking that sense of trust and using it to settle myself. So if that works for you, you can try it. For me, it's like those gestures just kind of, the impulse comes naturally, and I trust them because I feel like they help me enter into the meaning of the song. Yo mira, 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 Ani elecha eftach, Ani elecha eftach, Ani elecha eftach, Ani elecha eftach. Yo mira, yo mira, yo mira, yo mira, yo mira, Ani elecha eftach.
אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, יום מירה, יום מירה, יום אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, יום מירה, 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 אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, יום מירה, 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 אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, יום מירה, 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 אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, יום מירה, 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 אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, אני אליך אבטח, mira,
yo mira,
yo mira,
yo mira,
yo mira,
yo mira,
yo
yo mira, yo mira, yo mira, yo mira, yo mira,
Ani elecha, eta, Ani elecha, eta, Ani elecha, eta, Ani elecha, eta.
So just feel yourself resting in that sense of trust. Trust in the unfolding of grace. Trust in the not knowing. And whatever kind of steadiness that you find in your heart after that practice, send it to your future self. Imagine a moment that in the coming week when you might get startled, upset, and off balance. And send it to yourself in that moment. So when that moment happens, you'll remember this feeling. This feeling. Yeah, so wonderful to share this with you. I can't hear your voices, but I can feel them. I can feel those voices, and I can feel your generosity of presence. I have one more practice, but I wanted to, before we do the last practice, I wanted to just acknowledge Ziva, whose sister died recently, I guess very recently, and I wanted to have a moment so that we could be a container for her to say Kaddish. And Ziva, if you want to first unmute and just say, tell us her name. And
Dalia Gilad, she died yesterday. And she was not healthy for a long time, but in the last 10 days she was in the hospital. And basically finally slipped through sleeping out. So it was very peaceful.
Yeah. Oh, good.
And
she was in Israel? In Israel?
Yeah. Israel. But my niece was connecting me. I saw her dead. I have videos for everything. So I mostly was there. And I also was able to give her my last message and she listened. It was very electronically, we were very active, and it really was a very complete experience for me in spite of being in 2 different continents. And I was thinking to say Kaddish, she would kill me if she knew I did that. But
because she was very secular?
She divorced God. She lost a daughter years ago and she divorced God at that point. So, but, now she cannot say anything to me, so it's okay.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, should we unmute for this? I can, so that you can hear our response. I'm going to unmute everyone.
Be real quiet until the response.
And so we are all unmuted.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yes.
Memory be a blessing.
You can individually mute if there's noise in the background.
If there's noise in the background, you can mute.
Please.
Mute yourself.
גלתי קדש שמי רבה, ועלמה אלוקי, וימליך מלכותו, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי בכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, תראו,
Amen.
Amen. Shemay Rabba Mavorach, Yomam Alomni Omaya.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר,
Oh, sorry.
לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן ועלמה, ואמרו, תהי שלמה רבה חיים עושה שלום במרומה, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
May her memory be a blessing. So this one last practice that I wanted to do with you is called Palmistry. And when I was about 19 years old, I went into New York City and I went to a psychic there who looked at my palms, and he showed me something of my life, and he said some things that were just so incredibly true about me that nobody else knew. And he said some terrible things that were going to happen to me, which did happen, which was really kind of freaked me out. But it was kind of an amazing moment. And from then on, I always looked at my palms and understood the lines of my hand as being a kind of a map of my life and a picture of what was unfolding for me. And I would even sort of look at certain lines and kind of root for them, come on. But so I've always sort of paid attention to the palms of my hands, and especially, in prayer, of looking at my hands and seeing, that the picture that is written there is the picture of my life and the greater life. So there was a moment when I got smicha, was a rabbinical ordination from Reb Zalman, and it happened at Elat Chaim, and he told me to stay up all night, and that he would give me smicha in the morning. But before he sent me away, he gave me some things to focus on during the night. But he also, he took my hand in his, and he traced the lines on my hand. And it was very mysterious in the moment. I had no idea why he was doing this. And so I went I spent most of the night in the hot tub, but I spent part of the night, I was looking at the Haftorah of that week. And it was Isaiah. And I still felt the feeling of his finger on my palm. And then as I was looking at the text, I came upon this line during that long night. Hein al kapayim chakotich. God is saying to us, you are engraved on the palm of my hand. You, all of us, we are the life of God. We are the lines engraved on the palm of God's hand. somehow it just blew my mind in that moment. And it was an image of such kind of profundity and connection that we are those lines on the hand that define. And in that moment, I just felt so connected, and I thought this might be a medicine for this moment, to feel ourselves connected in this way. Hina kapai hakoti, 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 hakoti, hina kapai 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 hakoti, So I invite you to put your hands up to the screen. Take in the presence of everybody else here. Oh. See if we can take in a little bit of the presence through our hands, and see that what I like to look at then is after I've been touched by other people, after I've been touched by you, then when I look at my hands, I say, oh, there you are. You're part of my story now. You are the lines. You're written on the palm of my hands now. So we'll take one more, just looking at And now take a look at your hands and the lines on your hand, and you can see, oh yeah, there you are. There you are.
Heart.
So,
Oh, it's been
so
wonderful.
yeah, so wonderful to be together. And
I feel nourished and fortified,
if you
ready for the
want,
week.
if you want to take a look back at the chat, and see if those things that we needed at the beginning, whether any of those actually came to us during this time.
Be present in the
looking.
moment. Yeah. Sweetness.
Well, we're all looking at the chat and seeing.
Human connection. Yeah.
We get some of those things from our practice, and so grateful for our practice, our shared practice, and we will continue. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom now and say. So thank you all so much. I want to also just to invite you to go to our website and give a donation in honor of this work, so that the work can continue.
Really appreciate it.
Really appreciate RabbiShefagold.com. Just whatever's in your heart to give, and we will see you next week. I'm going to now unmute everybody.
Don't forget to go out and howl at the moon.
Full moon in Scorpio.
Now, unmuted.
That's what we do in Boulder at 8 p.m. every night.
Oh, great.
Take care, Shefa.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much, Shefa. Thank you so much, everyone.
So much, Shifa.
Wonderful. It's just
Wonderful.
perfect,
See everybody.
perfectly pitched. Thank you.
Nice to see you, Zika.
Thank you.
And you also on the back of our hand, not only the palm.
Oh, the back, sure.
All
Absolutely.
the way through.
Yep. Oh, what sweet faces. Mm.
Say good night.
Okay, well, good night.
Love, love.
Good night, Vivi.
Next week.
Susan. Vivi again.
Whoever said that, I love you.
It was Janet.
Didn't pick out your voice, Vivi, for when you
Good night. Good night.
Good night,
Bye,
all of you.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone. See you next
Good night,
week.
Sophia.
Bye. Thank you.
Night,
Thank
Eva.
you.
Love. Good
Good
night.
night, Judy and Bruce. Good night, everyone.
Judy, what do you got there?
Baby chick.
Oh,
Wait,
there's a
kitten.
Before.
Oh my
Little baby chick.
Just wanted to say hello.
Wow.
Oh.
Beautiful.
Does it have a name?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh,
It's a nice name.
She just got here. Maybe that'll be her name.
That's great.
Okay, say goodbye.
Hey, Bruce.
Oh my God.
I don't think she is cute. So much. She's checking you guys out.
Howard.
Bev?
That's
Nice.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Jan
Oh
is
my goodness.
Adorable.
okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Erev Tov.
Eric.
Oh.
Eric Tov. Lehidrat. Till we meet again.